everyone, my name is Rajbir Kaur from Department of English, Arya College Girls Section, Ludhiana. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on Principles of Good Writing by L.A. Hill. So let's start with the introduction about the author first. L.A. Hill was the Chief Education Officer for the British Council in India. He significantly improved the way in which English was taught in India. Along with this, he has authored a number of works in this area like Preposition and Adverbial Particles, Workbook, Refresher Courses, and Guide to Correct English. And this current piece of writing is an excerpt from his book, A Prelude to English. L.A. Hill discusses several fundamental guidelines for effective writing in this essay. So here I will discuss all the basic principles one by one in detail. Here is a list of all the basic principles of good writing. Let's take a look. So first of all, we'll start with the first basic principle, that is the link between writing and thinking. According to Hill, the first rule of effective writing is that it must be logical and unambiguous. As you all know, we can't write logically unless we think logically and clearly. For this purpose, we should have to train our mind to concentrate on specific issue. We can develop this skill. As you all know, it is said that practice makes a man perfect. So with little practice, it is something that is achievable. I can't say that it is not achievable, but we can achieve this thing with practice. The next crucial step is to broaden or develop our vocabulary and enhance our ability to communicate ourselves. That means the power of expression. According to Hill, he said that in order to improve our writing, frequent and consistent practice is must. It is required. We can't do anything without practice. So we should be vigilant about what we see and hear so that we can choose the right topic to write about. And regular and frequent practice is the only way to learn to write well, and it is also important to remember that we learn to write by writing only, and be vigilant about all the things that we hear and choose the topic accordingly. For this purpose, we ought to read some books, magazines and newspapers, and we should always keep our mind, eyes and ears open. Because we can write only about the things if we will keep our ears and eyes open. Even a little piece of conversation that we heard in the street, that can also give you some interesting ideas. So always be careful when you are walking around. And along with this, it is said that in writing, 99% of hard work and 1% of inspiration plays a very important role. So we must, so we do not wait for inspiration because we should do work hard to achieve this point. And the next important thing is reading. We should read newspapers carefully. Along with this, we should read some books, magazines and newspapers too. The thoughts that occur to our mind should be written down immediately in a notepad, because sometimes we don't remember all these things and we often forget them. If we keep a notebook with us, it will be very much beneficial for us to note down all the ideas that come to our mind during reading. So we should always keep a notebook handy. The other important principle that L.A. Hill discussed here is developing genuine interest in the people, and we must have a kind and empathetic understanding of others who are in our immediate vicinity. Consequently, we can always find something to write about in them. Our writings, it is true that different people have different interests, so our writings can't appeal to all of them. For that purpose, we must our writings must interest the people if we want to be a successful writer. He'll suggest that we should read magazines which are written for particular kind of readers. So, by careful reading of a suitable book or suitable magazine, we can find out the things that will interest the readers we are writing about. So, we should always write about the topics that would interest the audience. The next important thing is to write persuasively and authoritatively. Presentation is also crucial to be a successful writer. For this purpose, we should make our presentation more interesting, like the first paragraph should make it extremely apparent what topic we want to write about. Our position should be supported by the convincing arguments, and the final sentence should make it obvious what we have been saying. So, the first and the last paragraph should give a clear idea to the reader of what we have been saying. Next is having intense personal interest in the subject. So, when we are writing, we can write interestingly only if we are ourselves intensely interested in the subject. And we must convey this feeling of intense interest to the reader only if we intensely believe in what we are writing. To convince our readers, we should give first hand information to the readers persuasively and authoritatively, and it is must. Well, as you all know, that if we give the original information to the reader, then he will start taking interest in what we are saying. Otherwise, they will not give any, you can say, interest in our writing. The next important thing that Hill discusses here is that we should avoid our private and personal problems. Okay? Nobody is genuinely interested in our personal problems, and we must put ourselves aside. When we are writing, we should not put ourselves in our writing. We should just consider the readers. Never should we discuss our personal issues in our writing. We ought to write about other people's issues. So keep it in mind that when we are writing, when we start writing, we should not involve ourselves or involve our issues in our writing. We should write about others' issues. Furthermore, we can also say that we must never aim to leave an impression on the reader. And no matter what we write, our writing style should remain consistent. And the style should be a simple and conversational, which is always the best style for all. Simple, plain English is the fashion of these days. So we should always choose to write in simple style. An elaborated and decorated style is quite out of date, and we should always try to avoid in our writing any jargon, hackneyed expressions, rhetorical flourishes, and empty verbiage, circumlocution, and euphemism. Along with this, we should always avoid stating the obvious things which the reader already knows quite well. Otherwise, he will not show any interest in our writing. The next principle that L.A. Hill discussed in this essay is that we should following the same style throughout. We should not try to imitate other people's style, it is usually preferable to write in a straightforward and informal tone. No matter what we write, our writing style should remain consistent. Well, and our style should be in a conversational tone. We should not introduce our writing pattern by using slang expressions, and also we should try to avoid a mixture of styles, because sometimes mixture of styles sounds absurd, very absurd. The another important thing that Hill discussed is that, last but not least, once we have completed writing, like a critic, we should critically read our work, because sometimes when we read again after finishing, we can go back and find right word for what we were trying to say. But at that time, we forget that word, or that word don't come to our mind. So we should start examine our work critically like a critic, and look if there is any weak word, then replace this with exact word. And it is very importantly said that our word should say exactly what we mean. Our communication should be clear and concise. Words that you think these are weak, ambiguous words, imprecise words, that should be changed immediately. So, to sum up, we can say that it is always important for a writer to put the exact word in its exact place. Well, our word should also say exactly what we mean to say. And for that purpose, we must ourselves be very clear about what we are writing, because a vague piece of writing can never win the interest of the reader. So, that was all about the chapter, the basic principles of good writing. Thank you.